Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox, along with my co-host, Clem. And today we've got a very special interview that we've been teasing for a long time. An interview with Eric Martin, head writer of Loki Season 2. He was also a writer on Loki Season 1, and I think overall one of the MCU's best writers right now. We've been tweeting back and forth with him since Loki Season 2 came out. Finally got him in the basement, just recorded the interview. What a great guy. I'm excited for people to hear this.
I'm trying to think of like a nickname, like He Who Right Mains. I'm trying to have like a dad jokey kind of name for him. It's like, oh, we got a writer from the MCU. Oh, which one? The good one. We got the good one. So,
Yeah, the
I'm
one
very
that everyone
excited about
loves right now.
that. I was trying so hard in this interview not to be like, well, everything else has kind of sucked, and what did I say? Like, I no longer trust the Feige. I try to keep it as
Yeah.
positive as I could, and he's awesome. He was just like Waldron. Just seems like a nice, normal, extremely intelligent person that I could never dream of having the brain power of, but just like a good dude that's like a legit fan of the work. It seems, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And just like, it seems like he just gets the characters. Like the way he just talks about certain characters and the way he was writing his process and writing them, the way he thinks about their emotion, where they would be coming from. It's very cool to talk to someone that literally is crafting the MCU before our very eyes and doing it well. Very, very cool interview. It's one step closer to Feige, I think.
We just keep making contacts with people who Feige knows their names. That just gets us that much closer to seeing that whiteboard that I'm starting to think doesn't exist.
You did mention the whiteboard in this interview, so everyone stay tuned. Look forward to that. Before we get into the interview, we got some news to talk about. Wasn't a crazy big news week, but something that excites us as two big fans of The Boys and Gen V. The Boys is getting another spinoff, The Boys Mexico, and it will be executive produced by our boy Diego Luna, and he may have a role in the show. They're saying probably won't be a lead role, but he'll probably be in the show at some point. You said you saw both sides of the table on this, and I did as well. I saw some people saying, amazing, The Boys is the best, Gen V is the best, give us as much The Boys content as you can. I saw people going, they're going to water this universe down. Obviously, I hope they don't water the universe down. Right now, I have no reason to believe that they are doing that. Right now, I'm trusting whoever the Feige is there. The Seth Rogen, he executive produces that show. I'm trusting the Rogen over at The Boys because, oh my God, I loved Gen V. Finally, all caught up, finished the whole season and everything. The finale, the way it's going to lead into the next season of The Boys, everything about this universe, I'll take what I could get.
Yeah, so I saw people saying, "All right, we don't need too much, don't water it down." But then it's like, are there 5-0 right now? Is that their record? Right, four? Is there three seasons of the boys, and then Gen V? So that's
Three
four
seasons of The
now.
Boys, Gen V, yeah.
So then they're 4-0, and I think just whether you're like a business, a restaurant or something, you just create more restaurants, so you become a chain, and like you do get worried as it gets super big, but so far so great. So keep it
Yeah.
coming. I think it's like enough of a unique twist where you might get maybe, the whole Mexico subplot of it or the change in scenery could definitely make it more fun. And I do we how should we discuss Gen V? I guess we won't get into spoilers because I'm sure people still have to catch up.
People probably are
But
still, yeah.
I'll keep it high level. I love Gen V. All right, I really, really like Gen V. I think I have the boys higher on my list than Gen V. What about you? You the same?
Same, yeah.
My problem was for me personally, anytime you have like college age kids or college scenarios or setting or whatever it may be, you're gonna have kind of like I call it almost like quick talking, like quips, and it's like that kind of scene. Or if I watch a college or high school age show on TV or something like that, like the OC or something like that, which is probably like a million years old for some of the people, like it's
Yeah.
like black and white TV. Just mentioning that as my example. Nonetheless, I can't really get into that stuff. It's just never been my style, even when I was that age. So Gen V, because of that, I didn't really love it. The Mexico side of things can bring in a completely different, like I say in the interview, or I told you beforehand, I'm watching Narcos. So I'm living in fucking Central South America right now in terms of my headspace. So there's a lot of shit going on. So I am excited to see like what has the boys or the boys universe showed us that would make you say, "Oh, they're gonna fuck this one up." There's nothing. There's been
Yeah,
nothing so
really.
far, you know. And
Nothing. Nothing but home runs from them.
bankrolling it. Yep, Bezos
Yeah.
bankrolling it. Amazon Prime, kind of knows where their bread is buttered. So I'm feeling good about it. I understand the hesitancy, but come on, guys, this isn't Marvel kind of like screwing the pooch again or the old DCU. This, I think, deserves a benefit of the doubt. So I hope they're good. Pray. What is it? Pray for the best, expect the worst, or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm going into it.
Also, if they create like a boys Mexico team, and you could eventually do like they build to a war with the Vought, United States team or something. Homelander is getting accused of all sorts of things against the Mexican superheroes, I'm sure. If that fits Homelander's character, if I know him well. Also, Homelander and fits into our next topic, Omni-Man are both in Mortal Kombat. I sent you the Omni-Man subway fatality a while ago. Seeing that go from a 2D cartoon to a 3D animation put my jaw on the floor. I was like, oh my God, that's I thought that was bloody in the show. That's real bloody in Mortal Kombat. Invincible's full-fledged back, but they hit a little stop in the road because we got a mid-season break. So they're back, but they're not back right now.
I was not happy about that, Bob, because I had you who you've told me about it. All of our listeners have been like, you got to get into Invincible. Again, just not a cartoon guy, but I was like, I'm going to. I watched the first episode, which again, we won't do spoilers for people that haven't gone to it. But after the first episode, I was like, wow, that was a mind fuck. Like it's a lot to take in. I can't really say more than that without spoiling anything. It was a lot to take in. And then I just said, you know what, we're going to bang it out. And I banged it out. I was so happy. KFC was on me to watch it. I get all the way caught up, and then I'm told we're taking a break. What the fuck's going on here? And I is it the strike? Is it production thing? And I think it was always the plan. But you can't just be springing this on people. It's like when I fucking watched Across the Spider-Verse and I got it to be continued. Like, what are we doing?
You had no idea, yeah.
My whole heart is out there now, and then you guys just fucking knocked it off the table. So I am bummed about that. I will say. I love it. I would have Invincible behind the boys. I might have it above Gen V, though. Is that weird if I have it in between the boys and Gen V?
I don't think that's weird. I think a lot of people would probably put it there. I saw some videos of them like recording the voice animation for it too. And it was like Sandra Oh in a room with J.K. Simmons in a room with Steven Yeun, and they all do it together. So it's like, that's why you're getting such real performances. Yeah. So I don't know if they always do it like that, but at least for some things, like for conversations between the family, yeah, you're getting like actual performances that they go in and animate later. But Invincible's so good. The first half of this season has been amazing. I loved episode 3. That was my favorite because it focuses a little more on Seth Rogen's Alan the Alien character. The whole boys, Invincible, Amazon superhero universe is such a breath of fresh air right now when things do feel like The Marvels is a perfect example of a movie that's not bad, but it just feels pretty generic. It feels like something we've seen before. This is still surprising me. Invincible still surprising me. The Boys is still surprising me. I don't know how The Boys is still surprising me after like watching some of the gore and stuff in season 1, but they still get my jaw to hit the floor from time to time. So I'm very, very hopeful about the future of superhero content, especially with James Gunn DCU on the horizon.
Yeah. And again, Invincible might be gorier than The Boys when it comes down to it's just some of the shit they're pulling. The Boys hits you with like more shock value with different body parts that are blowing up. We'll just leave it at that. But man, Invincible, they hit you with some fucked up shit. And I'll answer. We've had a lot of people saying, "Hey, can you guys do some sort of content around The Boys, around Gen V, around Invincible? Maybe this Invincible break, either." In December or when season 2 ends, we could do sort of like a wrap up or something like that. And Gen V, we were kind of on different timelines. I haven't even finished episodes 3 and 4 because I was catching up on season 1. Yeah, of Invincible. I'm sorry. I was catching up on season 1 of Invincible, trying to catch up to you guys. And then I'm here told, oh, don't worry. There's a, God, do we know when it's coming back? Has there been like an official announcement?
I don't know. It's probably out there, but I don't know.
You guys are killing me. Yeah. So Robbie and I will probably do something at some point, maybe at the end of a future episode, or maybe we just chop it up, talk about our favorite characters, favorite scenes. But what do you have it? The Boys, Invincible, and Gen V.
I think same order as you. I think I go The Boys, Invincible, Gen V. But the space between Invincible and Gen V is so little. Like they're almost on the same playing field for me.
Where you have Boys clear cut number 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm with you.
The Boys' characters are just so good. The Deep, the Homelander, friggin' Starlight. Like they have the better characters, I think.
Even Frenchie, like the guys, the actual boys, right? Like and
Butcher. Oh my God, Huey.
Butcher goes with almost without saying. And again, I understand it's there's been so much more content done in the other universes and stuff like that. But even Invincible, as well as obviously The Boys, I just don't understand how they can have so much in every episode where you feel like you're getting a full, great standalone episode that also ties into stuff from the past and the future. Yet Marvel can't do that. And I mean, like, again, Loki season 2 was the one time where I was like, oh, this is great. It's fine. It's making some of the characters in the past better, but then it's also giving us stuff for the future in all the other projects. And I just don't know why we're not getting more of that. So it's just one of those frustrating things. But man, it's fucking good.
Well, now let's tell the people about C4 Ultimate Energy before we get into this interview with Eric Martin. Eric Martin is on deck, but C4 first. You need some energy? Get yourself some WWE Undisputed Energy with C4. Their Ultimate Energy has teamed up to provide Ultimate Undisputed Energy, packing a powerful punch of 300 milligrams of caffeine in delicious WWE-inspired flavors like Ruthless Raspberry, that's the blue one, and then Berry Power Bomb, that's the red one. C4 Ultimate Energy is the preferred choice of supercharged energy for WWE superstars like Seth freaking Rollins. And with 0 sugar and 300 milligrams of caffeine, that'll leave you feeling larger than life. It's time to step into that ring with C4 Ultimate Energy in WWE now. Grab the new C4 Ultimate Energy WWE flavors at GNC online or find them near you at findc4.com. Now, this has caffeine. I think CM Punk's a caffeine guy, because he drinks Pepsi. But he's straight edge otherwise. This might be the supercharged choice of a guy like CM Punk now that he's back in the WWE. You never know. I think he's in on the C4. I think everyone should be in on the C4. It's delicious.
Bob, give us a flex too. Give us a flex so in case they got to, get the powder or whatever. There we go. The protein. There he is.
There you go. Yeah, you get the protein powder too.
It's all good stuff. Go back. You can listen to you and Jared bringing from the top rope back for the CM Punk special for people that missed it. Big times in the WWE. I'm very jealous for all the wrestling fans out there. So maybe I'll just try the C4, and that'll be my way of being in wrestling. I'll just drink some with the WWE logo on it.
There you go. Now, without further ado, let's get into this interview with Eric Martin. All right, welcome back to the show. Myself and Clem are now joined by Eric Martin, a guest that we've wanted on the show for a while. We've been teasing this interview. It's actually my fault that it's taken so long. I sent the wrong email to Eric's PR person a while ago, but he is a writer on both seasons of Loki, the head writer on season 2, also a writer on Heels, one of the basement's favorite shows. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
Oh, great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, we've been tweeting all season about Loki, so it feels like you're a friend of the basement before we even got you in the basement. Now we could finally do the interview. Let me start with this. Loki season 2, as I'm sure you know from our tweets, we thought was amazing. We loved it start to finish, and it felt like it got as much praise as any Marvel project in recent time, especially the way you guys ended things. I felt like the ending was so perfect. Everyone loved the way you tied a bow on it. When did you know in the process where Loki's fate was going to wind up?
I mean, that was a very, very early thing. I think it was a little bit nebulous about how it would land. But I mean, even that, I think we kind of figured out pretty early. But the big idea early on was always take Loki from like this lowercase g god to a capital G god, but do it in a way where he's having to sacrifice. Like he's going to finally get that throne. That like that's what we started the series with. He still wanted that throne, and he finally gets it. But now it's not the thing he actually wants. It's more burden than glory.
Did you hear that, Bob? He used the lower G, capital G thing. That's been my thing with Loki now. That's been my thing for a couple of years.
It really
made my day.
Yeah.
And you know what, Robbie?
Oh, that's so funny.
If you go back, I'm going to rewatch this on YouTube. I'm going to watch Robbie's face. It sunk a little because he's like, I'm going to have to hear about it from this jerk for the rest of my life about how he basically, him and the Loki writer are on the same page about him. So that was a great response, Eric. Great start to the interview.
Oh, that is hilarious because like that really was exactly how I was talking about it from the very beginning. So yeah, mind meld right here.
Amazing.
I would like to be included in all the rumors for all the future writing projects that Marvel may have, because apparently I am a writer. I write smut blogs on a smut site. Apparently I have a little more chops than that. I could actually make a blockbuster one day. This is good to know. Very good to know.
And speaking of writing, it sounds like a lot of season 1 was rewritten on the fly because of the way that production, I guess, had to go through COVID and everything like that. Was season 2 the same way? I know you guys didn't do any reshoots on season 2.
No. I mean, COVID was a very particular thing where, that happens. We're like 30% into shooting and we all have to go home. And then it's like, okay, we have to look at these scripts again because all of a sudden this scene where we're going to have like 50 extras, we can have 5 people. Okay, that's a whole different scene. So there was just a lot of that, but it was definitely like, okay, hold it together, but like mold the things that need to be molded. Season 2, we didn't have COVID to deal with. So yeah, like those flags were all planted. All those set pieces were there. Things just naturally get molded as you go along. Somebody has an idea and it's like, oh, that's great. Let's see if we can fold that in. But for the most part, because we didn't do reshoots, like we had scripts that were in good shape when we started and we're able to like hold all of that together throughout.
Yeah. And going back to season 1, how did you get involved with the Loki team in the first place?
Well, that was Waldron. Michael Waldron and I are buddies. Like we were, I think, each other's first friends in the industry. And, worked on Heels together. We were Rick and Morty together. And before that, we were at Pepperdine for grad school together. And so we've always just been tight friends and trusted collaborators. So I was his first hire for season 1.
Were you a Marvel fan prior to that?
Yeah. I do Big Brothers Big Sisters, and my little has been obsessed with Marvel from when we first started hanging out. So we would go see every movie together, and that's what really kept me in the game. When things got busy and I might not have time to like go see movies just for pleasure, it's like, oh no, Matthew wants to go see the new Thor. Cool, like we're going. So I was like up to date on everything when I went in there.
That's incredible. Did you have to write any kind of like, how did you handle Michael watching his Braves choke away one of the greatest regular seasons of all times to losing in the playoffs? Did you have to text him anything, or did you just let him simmer on his own? I'm a Mets fan that had to live through that hell, and he would text me like, "Hey, I'm at the Mets game. You guys are looking all right tonight. We only beat you guys like 8-3." So, as I consider Michael like a friend. How does it feel to be like a close friend of Michael, watching him go through all that?
No, it's funny because my opinion is like I think Atlanta sports do pretty well for him, but he cares so much that when things don't go perfectly, it's like he does feel all that pain deeply. I guess I should kind of text him condolences, but I think it kind of goes the other way, razz him a little bit on it.
Yeah, I like that. And when you're the writer, you control the story. That's the worst part, is then when you're watching other people play a game, you have no control. So that must have really hurt Michael a lot. So I just wanted to let him know that I know how much it hurts him. I'll send my regards.
Do you have a favorite Marvel movie?
I think the first Iron Man probably remains my favorite. I just think it's like there's just such a great mix of everything in there. And Robert Downey Jr. is just like, a lot of different people could have played that role, but I don't think anybody could have played it as well. It was like you just got the perfect person at the perfect time. Favreau did such a great job. I love Jeff Bridges as the villain, and it's just like, I don't know, like I think that thing's perfect. I just don't think there are any changes you need to make to it. And I think it's like rewatchable in such a great way. And it just kind of started everything.
Oh my God. Yeah. Rewatchable is the word for it. I've rewatched that one as many times as any other Marvel movie because, like you said, it's perfect. And I felt season 2 of Loki really like hammered this home for me. I think Tom Hiddleston is to Loki exactly what Robert Downey Jr. is to Tony Stark. I feel like they're in the same echelon there where I can't picture anyone else. Well, I mean, you could picture Sylvie and some variants, but as the true Loki, I can't picture anyone else but Tom Hiddleston.
Well, that's such a testament to Tom and what he brings to that role, right? Because this character wasn't supposed to continue on, but everybody's just like, oh, well, Loki was pretty great. Maybe we fold him into the next one. And like, he just kept coming back. And, I don't know, like Tom really, in a funny way, I think RDJ is really the face of the MCU, but Tom is kind of the backbone, right? Like, and even more so now with what we've been able to do with the series, and I think really deepen the character and like get in there in some great ways and just let him breathe. Because I think we have far more screen time for the character because we've done 2 seasons of a series with him than everything that came prior. And it's just like such a gift. Like Tom is just so amazing.
He
Yeah.
crushes, and kind of, I said this to Robbie in the early days of Marvel. It was Loki was always somehow involved. He's always causing the shit, right? And I loved him for it. And then when he dies in Infinity War, you're just like, oh man, that's a bummer. They're not going to see Loki anymore. Or I guess, yeah. And then obviously you guys bring him back. And I wonder, as a writer, are you just like, oh man, I got Tom Hiddleston. I can basically write whatever I can write. I know this guy's going to be able to play exactly what I want to have play. So it's kind of like you just have a stud pitcher or whatever, going back to the baseball analogy. You can just throw whatever at him, knowing he can handle that role.
I mean, yes, but also like I don't want to abuse that and be lazy. I want to give him meaty things that he can go out there and kill. I want him to be excited about the things that are there. And like that's where like the ending of the series was always so exciting for Tom because he's going to get to play all that emotion that he does so well. Like Tom has this ability to just like pull up tears and just hold them in his eyes. And it's just he does that so well and can emote in that way. I want to make sure that the writing is up to his standard of what he's able to pull off. Just because he's able to do that, I don't want to lean on that. I want to be able to like be up there with him. So it's a great challenge in that way. And then you pull Owen into the mix. Those two, they play so well together. Like, yeah, they're the chemistry there is just so natural, real, and amazing. Like that's such a gift. And then you get Sophia. Like, yeah, we have such an amazing cast.
Do you have a favorite moment from season 2 where you feel like you and Tom like met on that amazing stars crossed level?
I really think the end, I think it is that final shot of him on the throne. It was like, that's exactly like, that was the mind meld, right? It's like, you have that slight Mona Lisa look to his face. That's like, look, he's happy to be able to protect everything so that the people he cares most about can continue on and do what they need to do. But what he really wants is just to be with them, and he can't be. And Tom just paints that perfectly. Like it wasn't better in my head than what he was able to do.
That whole sequence too, like visually, it was straight out of a comic book to us. We were like, oh my God, that was so crushed. And the way you see the threads turn into his cape at the end and everything. Was that how you pictured it as you were writing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I should give a shout out to Justin and Aaron, our amazing directors, who visualized all of that, brought that to life. And then the stuff with like the threads kind of becoming a part of him. Like, yeah, that was absolutely like, that was the idea that it's like he comes in and he's physically handling them, but at some point it's just like a part of him. It's flowing through him. Like he is the loom now. And like they just visualize that in such a wonderful emotional way.
It's incredible. And like you said, it makes the character, even going back and rewatching the first ones, it makes you love the character even more, which we already loved. But my question is, now that this character is so important and this series has now is so important to just the fabric of the MCU, I think there's been a lot of talk about this phase, stuff being disconnected or kind of in its own little universe where everything in the old days blended a little more together. Did you guys have like like a roadmap or maybe a whiteboard in Kevin Feige's office that said we have to get from point A to point B? This is on you guys. Here are the characters you can use and can't use, or is it go wild, go crazy, and we'll go from there?
No, like we siloed ourselves off, and the idea was like, let's make it so great that the MCU comes to us. There was never like, oh, you have to get him to this place, but that was part of the pitch, is that like we're going to take him from this lowercase g god to a capital G god, and Feige was on board for that. It's like, oh, great, I get that. That makes sense. That's really cool. So there wasn't any dictate that we had to like, oh, we have to land him here. Like, this is our box. We were able to kind of make that. And I think that was, in a lot of ways, I think the secret sauce. It wasn't like, oh, we didn't want to connect everything. We wanted to, but we wanted to do it on our terms. Like, always be good partners and not nuke anything for anyone else, but do the absolute best story that we could do, that everyone else is going to want to be a part of that.
That's fascinating to hear, because again, we talked about it during the final season 2, is it was like, oh my God, they really just progressed us. This multiverse, we've been hearing multiverse forever. It doesn't exist as far as it feels like, because we've been talking about it so long, but it's like, obviously the Spider-Man movie had, Quantumania had its own had Kang in it, but it's like, you guys have really progressed, and you guys feel like the bridge that's getting us from the last phase to the next phase. And it's just amazing that in a TV show with, what was it, 20 episodes? That you guys,
not even
12. 12. Yeah,
Yeah.
not even 12. Yeah, 12. It's crazy. A dozen episodes. You guys have done that over only 2 years. It's banana land. It's awesome. So it's tip of the cap, sir. Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. And, there's so many talented people involved in it to like get it to that place. But really, like, all of us, we were just trying to tell a very emotional story that's true to our characters. Like, we love these characters. We love our performers. Like, let's just do the best by them. And everything else is just kind of like the benefit that you get with that.
Definitely. And I just have to ask this, Bob, one last question here before you go on the next one. Thanos Copter. Who came up with the Thanos Copter? Because I was the Leo DiCaprio pointing at the TV screen. I could have done a 3-hour podcast about it. I just love the Thanos Copter. Who said let's get the Thanos Copter in there?
I believe that was Kevin Wright. I don't remember exactly, but I think that was one of his Easter eggs.
I love that.
Bravo, Kevin Wright.
All right, got to cut off this interview real quick to tell everyone about Factor. This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Well, Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help fuel you up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track for your healthy lifestyle while tackling all of your holiday to-dos. If you're too busy with your plans to cook but want to make sure you're still eating well, with Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. They've been eating this on Surviving Barstool all week, Clem.
They are showing like the zoom ins and everything. Like, man, that looks good. And then they have like the shakes, the
the protein shakes.
Like
yeah,
I'm like, let's go.
Cookies.
And you said it, Bob. Perfect time, holiday season. You're kind of just lazing around. You have it there for you. Everything's going to be crazy when you're going out to the stores, getting all that stuff. You have stuff that's already made for you. You get to sit back, relax, eat, stay inside, stay in the warmth. Can't go wrong with Factor.
You can't go wrong with them. If you need that extra boost to support your wellness goals and feel your best during the holiday, try their Protein Plus meals, 30 grams of protein or more per serving. And this November, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered straight to your door. Head to factormeals.com/Robbie50, ROBBIE50, and then use the same promo code Robbie50 to get 50% off. It's code Robbie50 at factormeals.com/Robbie50 to get 50% off. Speaking of Easter eggs, we got Throg last season, and we also said not really an Easter egg, more of a true character, Alligator Loki. Was there any thought of bringing either of those guys back in season 2?
We talked about that. Definitely, it's like everybody loved classic Loki, and it's like, well, is there a way to get him in there? I think the way we all looked at it was like, maybe it's best to honor those characters and what Michael and Kate did by not bringing them back, by letting them live kind of perfectly as they already are. If there was something that was like, oh, okay, that makes so much sense, and like we can build some really meaty drama and emotion out of that, there would be something to talk about. But it's already good. I'm kind of the mind that like when something's great, like let it just be great. Like it's a big risk to pull it back in again. And there was some great stuff with those that like, I think it's already good. Like definitely Throg is like, I was sad that ended up getting cut from season 1. I thought that scene was really funny. I thought Tom really, really nailed that, but it made sense. And I was glad like we could still have the Easter egg in there.
Yeah. And I love the sets this season and last season too. I feel like just like the TVA gives this like warm vibe. What's your favorite set that you actually got to visit?
I think I went to all of them. And first call out Castro Farahani, our incredible production designer, who put all those great sets together. I think the temporal loom in the control room, that was just awesome. Like that was exactly what we talked about, this kind of almost antiquated looking technology that like we sourced all of these like old Russian nuclear or like Soviet nuclear reactor control rooms, and we're looking at those for that. And then kind of the scale when you get outside of it, that was really exciting. And that set was humongous and so cool. Like it's really one of the great joys to walk the sets and see those things come to life. And we have such great craftspeople putting those together that like they just feel real. It's incredible. Like production is such a waste. Like we build these things and they're temporary. Like this, like how is this not going to just like exist? Can we just get this to Disneyland to live forever?
Yeah.
But, like no, you build it. It's like all right, you destroy it or just tuck it away into a warehouse and maybe some other show use it later on. I don't know.
I loved the running gag in that loom room of the skin written on the computer the whole season. You could always see it in the background. I thought that was so good. And who did you enjoy writing for more? He Who Remains or Victor Timely?
I don't know. They were both very different. He Who Remains is really like such a joy because he is just this gregarious. I kind of read him as a bit of a blowhard. You know, I always wrote him as like a blowhard tech CEO. That's just like self-aggrandizing. He's there to celebrate himself. But I think Timely was actually a little bit more fun because it's like you get to do kind of both. Like he is this kind of brilliant guy and he's playing that charlatan version, a little bit of that He Who Remains, but it's really just because he wants to be a scientist and he needs to get this money so he can do his experiments. And then, yeah, I don't know. That episode 3 was a lot of fun to write with all of that because I'm getting to like write a different character across the episode. So
yeah.
Probably Timely.
Is it episode 3 or 4 that we get Miss Minutes making a move on him?
Episode 3.
I mean, that was incredible. I did not see that coming. Her face on the mannequin head. Insane.
Yeah, Eric, how early was Miss Minutes being horny in your notes? Like, was that day 1 addition to it, or was that something after season 1? I mean, when I heard the voice, I knew she was sus. When I heard that Southern voice, I'm like, I've heard a lot of women that could get you, in trouble with that voice. And then I saw it come to the screen, and I was like, wow, I did not expect to be calling that one.
Yeah, so I had inklings of it in writing episode 6 of season 1 when she shows back up and just like because I always have to like when I'm going to write a scene, it's like I have a character, I need to know where they are emotionally. So I'm like, what's her backstory? Like why is she doing this? Is she just like purely just an unemotional AI, or is it like have they been living together back here? Is this his only friend? This is the only person he's been talking to. And I started thinking about that from his side, and then I started thinking about it from hers, and it's like, oh, well, she really cares about him. Like she's actually worried that he's going to die. And so going into season 2, I knew I wanted to use her more and I wanted to treat her like a real character. Part of me is just like, it's as dumb as, well, how weird is that if we have a cartoon clock that's just a real emotional character? Like that's hilarious. That's fun. We have to do that. And from there, it was like, okay, well, what is her story? What is she doing? And it just kind of came naturally. It's like, oh no, oh my God, she's in love with him. Oh, she loves him, doesn't she? Oh, okay, let's make this weird. Let's make this touching and weird and like from a real emotional place. Let's just do it. And I could not believe that nobody stopped me. I thought it was going to die every step of the way. Oh, in the mannequin, even just setting it all in the mannequin shop, I thought, okay, people are going to be creeped out by that. No, that went through like, okay, cool. She's going to put her face over a mannequin. That's surely they're not going to allow that. Nope. It just kept going and it just ended up on there. I know it creeps some people out, but good. That's what it should do. It's weird.
Miss Minutes has this incredible ability of creeping me out because her, like, I guess call it like a death scene, the reboot scene where she glitches and she's like, you'll never be him. I was like, oh my, it sent a shiver up my spine. I couldn't believe how much this silly cartoon clock actually scared me.
And Bob, also, don't forget, she's like getting off watching people just get crushed in a cube. Like her
that was crazy. Her smile. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was good.
No, she's not so.
One of our many failed conspiracy theories this season was that there was going to be a larger story around the key lime pie. We thought, is this key lime pie erasing memories of the TVA? Why are they eating the key lime pie? Was there anything ever going to be anything more to that key lime pie?
Sadly, no.
We're the biggest
I
idiots
love
in
key
the
lime
basement.
pie, and I think there was a stylistic choice on Castro's front.
I needed to hear that, Eric, because again, we were in the basement. We're coming up with our stupid theories. We're reading the theories on Reddit, and then we just blend them all together. Before the finale, I text Robbie. I'm like, Robbie, what color is Loki's magic? He's like, green. I'm like, what color is key lime pie? He's like, green. I'm like, oh, I cracked the code. I wish I said it on the podcast. I'm gonna like call my shot, and then from the writer's mouth, nope, you're a bunch of idiots. I just like to taste the key lime pie.
Yeah.
Well, color green. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of why it is there, but that's as far as it goes. Sorry
All
to
right,
dash
fair
dreams.
Also, what is it like watching, I guess, like Twitter and social media react to these episodes and make all of their crazy predictions? Mephisto this, Mephisto that. What's it like knowing that, like knowing where the story goes? Are you almost worried that you hope none of the theories get too popular because then people will expect them?
Yeah, I guess I probably should be worried about it, but I'm more just fascinated by watching it all unfold. And I think it's really humbling just seeing the engagement that like people care about it that much that they're engaging in such a way that they want to prophesize about where this is going. I love seeing those things, and like I guess maybe it could be a danger if somebody's prophecy is a better idea than what we actually did. But I don't know. I feel strong about the work, so I see all of those things. It's like awesome. Like they keep watching. I hate when somebody's like disappointed by something, but I hope that it's like not everybody's going to love every part of a thing. I just hope that like they appreciate the whole.
And I loved the penultimate episode of season 2 where we got a bunch of backstories for the characters that we've grown to love over the last 2 seasons. What was your favorite backstory to come up with there?
That was for sure Keyes. Obi's life as a sci-fi writer. That's one that just came to me fully formed, and it's like, okay, this just feels right, and that's going to be like because it was fun to change him a little bit because he was this scientific guide in the TVA, and well, the writer's more of a spiritual guide, right? So like, let's have him talk to Loki in those ways because that's really what Loki needed to learn in that episode. And there's just something so sweet about Key being this aspiring sci-fi writer when he can just be a brilliant scientist. Like he'd rather be a sci-fi writer than a great scientist. That's funny to me.
I mean, obviously we're a little biased here, but when we finally got to see, that jet ski, Owen Wilson on that jet ski, and we were just so thrilled for him. And it was, there are shows where that would have just kind of just went the way. It would have went the Ralph Boner, just never happens again. And you don't get it. I just want to thank you for that. And I also would like you to know that we have also come up with 2 theories. You don't have to answer whether they're true or false or whatever. But his kids, what was it? His kids, one acts like Loki, the other acts like Thor. Yep. That's one thing, is that is like the Thor and Loki of that universe or something. And then the other was that the wife who just, your mom just disappeared or died one day, she got snapped away. That was our little fan fiction brain. So just to let you know, we are still poisoning our brains with stuff that we have no verification whether it's true or false.
Well, let me just say there was a prior version to this where he had like 8 kids, all boys, and it was just a madhouse. Like when he's getting that call at work, it's one kid like calling because like the other kid had lit the house on fire. And when we go in there, like you literally come into it, and one of the kids is just like scratching fart in the wall. That was I love the movie Raising Arizona, and there's just like a scene in there where some friends come over and their kid is literally scratching fart in the wall. I'm like, I want to steal that and put that in there. Ultimately, that version didn't make it in there. A lot of child actors, and we had the wonderful chance to use Owen's own sons in there. So,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's really cool for them. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, like, I think that adds a layer of sweetness to it all. Makes it really fulfilling.
Definitely. And you mentioned working with Key there. He just seems like the most wholesome dude in Hollywood. Like his comeback has been the most fun thing to watch. His Oscar speech had us all crying. What was it like working with him? Did you write that character for him or no?
No, 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 no. I like that. That was just kind of written in a vacuum. Like, wasn't thinking of any particular person. It was just like, okay, who is this person that lives alone down in the bowels of the TVA and loves their job? Like they are this ultra engineer. It's like the Star Trek engineer that loves doing his sci-fi work down there. That all just kind of formed without thinking of him. And then when he came into it, it's like, okay, well, what a gift! Like this makes perfect sense. And I met Key. He came to set before he actually started, just to kind of meet people, get a feel for things. And we had lunch that day in my office, and we just talked about the character. And he had such an interesting approach. His initial approach to it was like he read it as, well, he obviously starred in Goonies and Temple of Doom, worked with Steven Spielberg, and Steven has touched his life since then. 20th anniversary of Goonies, I think they have like a little thing. And he said when Steven comes into a room, when you talk to him, he's fully focused on you, and he is having a conversation with only you, 100% focused on that. But he's also Steven Spielberg, so somebody's going to come talk to him and pull him away, and that attention goes. But he gives that attention to whomever is in front of him. He's not distracted. He's being genuine with you. And he's like, well, that's how I kind of see OB. He's like that. He's fully focused on whatever he's doing when he's doing it. And so when Loki and Mobius come in, they're like, hey, we have a problem with this temp pad. Can you take a look at this? We want to know what Brad's up to. He's like, great. Okay, cool. I can really get into this. Is this more important than me saving the loom and the entire TVA? Like, yeah. He's being genuine. Like everything he does is genuine in that way. And I just thought it made a lot of sense. And I thought it was a very thoughtful way to approach it. And obviously it's cool because it's Steven Spielberg.
That's so cool. Like Steven Spielberg somehow inspired that character. That's amazing. I would have never put that together. Of course I wouldn't. I don't know Steven Spielberg. Last question from me. Are there any other comic book characters or Marvel characters even that you would like to get your hands on one day?
Honestly, the X-Men. I'm sure they'll get someone fancier and cooler than me to do that. But I just think they're the best characters in the MCU. I think everybody has so much depth and they're all flawed and interesting. I think, yeah, every one of them would be a joy to write. So being able to write for all of them, like that would be the dream.
Darn, I think there's my variant, Bob. We are on the same page and a lot of different things here. That's my crew. I'm very happy to hear that, and I'll be rooting for you from afar. If there's ever like any links or anything like that. One Marvel character I wanted to know: if you could write the Silver Surfer as an animal, which animal would the Silver Surfer be?
I have no idea. I don't have an answer for you. You tell me. Like, what animal should the Silver Surfer be?
Can you? Okay, I'll ask the question, and you say I would love to make him a rabbit. Okay, if you could write the Silver Surfer as an animal, which animal would he be?
A capybara.
Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking dolphin, maybe.
I mean, it's too close. It's already like kind of silver, right?
Yeah, true.
But maybe that's actually a call to go that route. I don't know. I think you can go either way with that.
All right. So when this interview goes out, just expect all the headlines like Eric Martin confirms Silver Surfer will be written as a capybara.
Yeah, there was a lot of anger about him being a woman, so we're going to just completely put it on its head. Now he's a capybara.
Yeah, that popped in my head because, season 1, we had talked about capybaras a lot. At one point, we would visit a world that was all capybaras, and it just popped in my head. And you know what? I'm going to stick with it. I think I truly believe that the Silver Surfer should be a capybara. Yeah. I'm all in.
I love it. I love it. We're all in too. Thank you so much for the time joining us in the basement, talking Loki season 2. Like we said, we were such massive fans of it. Thank you for the amazing entertainment we got for 12 episodes, 12 hours of our lives. And hopefully we'll get you back in before too long.
No, I'd love to. And yeah. Thank you all for being so into the show. No, it's great. I love the enthusiasm. Yeah, so much fun. Great being here.
Give my best to Michael about his Braves. Very tough. I really feel bad for him. Tough break for him.
I'll let him know right now.
All right. See you, Eric.
All right. Thanks guys.
Eric.
See ya.